Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissick and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Hey, good morning, Dana. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Well, we're on week who knows what of COVID-19. What have you done different?
I really have totally lost track at this point. It's been interesting just to kind of see. I've been in South Carolina more than I have been Kentucky, but heading back tomorrow, so I'm anxious. I already texted two of my girlfriends. I'm like, when can we go have a margarita this week? I miss y'all. But it's kind of, things have been getting back into the norm, really kind of here a little bit. New norm, but we've been eating at restaurants and doing things, which has been good.
Yeah, who knew how much of our everything revolved around getting to go sit down at a chair somewhere at a restaurant.
I know, it's crazy. I finally got my nails done for the first time in 12. So I was like, Adam said, you're in a good mood today. I said, I know, I got my nails done today.
No, men just don't understand that stuff. And it's like, we should just like hop from state to state. Whoever's got the most open. Although I did it backwards. Texas was opening up. I did get my hair done, did get my nails done. And I did get to go to a restaurant and have a margarita and Mexican food. That was me and Melissa McCarthy were knocking people out of the way to get there. But anyway, but then I decided I need to see the ocean. I need an attitude adjustment. So we get on a plane with our little mask, and which, by the way, it wasn't that bad at all. It was, they left all the center seats open. We were in first. So
I wondered if they were going to do that, how they were.
Yeah, it was, the plane was probably 25 to 35% full. I don't even know how full, but up in first, if you were by yourself, no, they didn't put anybody by you. But if you were, so we sat together and then nobody sat around us. But so it wasn't bad. You had to wear your mask the whole time, so it wasn't bad at all. But anyway, I came to California where nothing was open. I mean, except the beach. You can walk on the beach, but you have to keep walking. You cannot sit down. You cannot linger or stand around. So, you know what? Even those been fabulous. Just grounding back to the earth and doing cold plunges and just enjoying the beauty. It's been great.
It's been interesting to see. The beaches here have been the same thing. They called it the exercise limitation. So you had to keep moving the whole time. But on Friday, day before yesterday, they opened back up all the beaches here. So it was like a mad dash to everybody going to we didn't even go because I was like, I'm not getting in that. But it was, it's been interesting to see how many people, and plus I guess Memorial Day weekend, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, well, they didn't open it here for Memorial Day. And so the boardwalk right in front of us is still closed, which I hate that part because I really like to go ride bikes. Yeah. And I don't really want to go ride them in the alley and on the streets. But
so you can't ride bikes on the boardwalk then?
You can't walk on the boardwalk. You can't ride. Now you can go down to the ocean, which is what we've been doing. And we walk every day, get our 10,000 steps in and just,
wow.
You know what I like about it, though, is if the boardwalk was open, I would do it on the boardwalk. And this is forcing me to go down by the water. So I'm really kind of thankful. There's little blessings in all of this. We just got to look for them.
I totally agree.
My feet are in the sand and, I'm walking in the water. I mean, I wouldn't do that. I'd be on the boardwalk on the concrete. So I'm thankful that it's kind of like that. I hope they keep that way a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But anyway, so today we're going to talk about, last week we talked about what I consider my magic formula if I'm going to build anything. If I'm going to build a big life, if I'm going to build a business, if you were sending me anywhere to build anything, this is the formula that I would use. So I'll kind of give a refresher and then we'll kind of dive into this a little bit, Dana. And I'm sure you've got your own stories because you've made your life big and you've really focused on how to have bigger, brighter futures always. And so the formula is relationships. So if you can imagine a big capital R plus a plus sign plus a big capital V and then another plus sign and then another big capital V. And then draw a line underneath all of that and put the capital letter T. And so that's kind of the formula. Relationships plus your validity plus other people's value gaps over time. If you work that formula in anything you're going to do over time, you're going to have success, whether it's sales, whether it's a great life, whether you're building something, whether you're building investment portfolio, wealth, whatever you're doing. To me, this formula is one that I can always drop into and I'm always going to get success with. So I'm going to this week, we're going to dive into the relationship part of it. So I think one of the most important things I've learned that I had to learn the hard way in sales is you deciding who you want to be a hero to, not just going out. And if you're building your real estate business, just diving in and doing business with everybody, because we all know that everybody doesn't fill us up to help them.
Yep.
Some people suck your energy. Some people make you wonder why you're doing what you're doing. But then there's those other people that when you help them, you think, man, I love what I do. I love helping these people. So I think one of the best things we can do is on the front end of our life, really get clear about who are those people. And so you and I were talking before we started the broadcast about Michael Hyatt's new book. Why don't you tell him about that book real quick?
Yeah, Michael Hyatt just came out with a brand new book. It's already #1 on the Wall Street Journal and New York Times bestseller, and it's called The Vision Driven Leader. And it's 10 questions that you ask yourself to focus kind of just your efforts, focus your energy of your team, and to be able to scale your business. And I've been a part of a Zoom book club with this, and this book it's awesome. I mean, whether you're starting a new vision for something or whether you've been in business and you've kind of lost your vision. One of the things he talks about, which this is a squirrel, but really fast, is sometimes we have a really big vision in the beginning of building something. And then after we get rolling, nobody can tell you what the vision is anymore. And so he talks about the difference between a mission statement and a vision. But anyway, it's really great. This is probably will be my book of the year. It's good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to read it. I'm at the beach, so I'm going to download it today and dig into it. Right out in the sun. Well, a few years ago, I was really blessed to have an opportunity. I was at an event. I can't even remember what the event was. Well, I had read Michael's book. It's really strange. I'd actually read one of Michael's books while I was in on Coronado Island running. We were staying at the Dale just for a getaway weekend. And I'm a runner, so I always remember books by where I was at when I listened to what. And I remember running by the military base and listening to Michael Hyatt's book. And I can't remember the name of the book, but it was one about pretty much how to build, I guess, maybe a tribe of people or whatever. And so I remember thinking, man, I really like the way this guy thinks. So there was a seminar coming up, and I went to the seminar. I think I took my daughter Bailey, because her and I like these kind of things together. So I think we went to this in Dallas. There was an opportunity. They had a great charity that him and Stu McLaren really were big on building schools for people in Africa. So anyway, my heartstrings were pulled for this opportunity. So we donated, and there was a certain group of us that, because of your donation, you got to go and spend just a quality time with Michael Hyatt in Franklin, Tennessee, where his home office is. And so Bailey and I got to go. I matched the donation and got to bring my daughter. And so we went to that. It was one of the coolest things we've ever done, now that I really think about it. And one of my highlights of the moment, there was probably only 10 of us, and you got in a hot seat, which is one of my reasons I love to do hot seats. When I do an event locally in Dallas, I love to do this little exercise called a hot seat. So everybody got in the hot seat, and you kind of talked about what your passions were. And it was Megan, his daughter, that actually really kind of just zeroed in on what my passion was and what I want to do. Because I think we spend a lot of our time not really knowing who we love to help, and not paying attention to and actively going after those people, so that our days are filled up with wonderful days that we love to do what we do. So I was sitting there and I was explaining everything, and Megan said, I have it. And I said, what do you mean you have it? She goes, I have it, because there's a formula. So I'm going to tell everybody this formula, Dana, and we'll put it in the show notes also. But if you can imagine this, I help, and then put an X, because you got to fill in who you help. And then I'll go back and tell you mine, so it'll make more sense. I help X understand X so that they can X. So let me explain it in mine. And mine is, I help successful but overworked entrepreneurs understand the power of leverage and passive income so that they can create freedom and margin for what matters most to them. So when I kind of really think about it in that context, if I get to do that on a regular basis, I love what I do. I make more money than I could ever spend. And my days are filled just flying by, not worrying about anything, what I'm getting paid, what time it is, if I'm eating or anything. So maybe that formula will help people. And, I don't know if I would have heard that formula earlier, if it would have been harder for me to put the pieces together. But by this time, I had tried enough working with certain people and not loving it and not enjoying it. So I think on the relationship side, one, we have to get clarity. the more clarity we have, and most people don't want to do this. Our friend Dean Jackson calls it a niche market. What's your niche market? And the thought of that in real estate makes you want to just think, no way I can do that. There's no way I can make that the kind of money I need to make if I'm narrow my niche down. But I think what I've noticed people happen is they start with a niche and they become so good and so well known that later on they can add other people or other divisions, and either someone else work with those people or they work with those people, and it doesn't mess up. I think having a niche market actually, as we'd say in Texas, a niche, a niche market.
I say niche too.
I say niche too, but trust me, I'm trying really hard to say niche because that's what everybody's corrected me to tell me. But girl, in South, it's niche.
I know.
A niche market.
I was going to say, I thought that was maybe just a Kentucky thing, but clearly now I know it's a Texas thing too.
It's a Southern thing, girl. But anyway, I'm trying to be politically right for all those people that are going to write in and correct us. Anyway,
right.
So I think the better we get at that on the front end, the better all of our marketing works, the better everything works. But I think when it boils down to relationships, if you're going to be in sales or you're going to be in service, you're going to need to figure out who this group of people is that you want to be a hero to. And the clearer you can get on that, the better you can get on that, I think the better everybody does. I really, really do. And then some of the other relationships that I've thought about that have really, if I had known early on to pay attention to, would have mattered in this formula of success, besides who I build my tribe to help and service and be a hero to, I would say it's probably, choosing, and I've talked about this in earlier episodes, who you determine wealth for is another super important relationship, because I remember years of just picking people to determine wealth for, and I had no idea where they're hitching my wagon to their wagon was going to take me. And when I looked up, it wasn't taking me where I wanted to go, but they were nice people and I really liked them. And oh my gosh, but I really like this person and I feel bad if I leave them. But once I realized that would be one of the most important decisions I make besides who created me and who I marry, then I started really thinking about and investigating. I remember following trainers years ago and watching people come in and out of their lives and be like dead bodies. And I thought, something's not right. If you're determining wealth for someone and your life isn't massively getting better, then you're determining wealth for the wrong person. Your formula, your person's agenda, something's wrong, right? So that one is probably, besides me deciding who I want to be a hero to, is one of the most super important relationships that you can spend some time around. And then of course, nothing to me is worth, and then again, who determines wealth for you? How do I become, and we'll talk about validity in the next podcast, but by me creating the right validity, I'm able to attract more talented people to my life that can help me determine wealth for me. Mm-hmm. But a couple of things that you have to be clear on when you become the person that's valid to attract these talented people is you have to remember they're going to look up someday too and say, am I reaching the goals and the dreams that I have being attached to this person?
Right.
They're not. They're going to go become your competition. I can't tell you the number of calls, Dana, I ward off in a month of top agents that go, I don't understand. So-and-so left me. Mm-hmm. They left you because when they looked up, your life was probably getting better, but theirs really wasn't getting them where they wanted to go. And you weren't bothering to check in and see about that.
Or they weren't communicating their vision good enough or big enough. And that's one of the reasons why I've loved reading this book, that Vision Driven Leader book, because even if you think you have a great vision, if you're not communicating it to the people that determine wealth for you, then they can forget what that's like and go, then they want to go to do their own thing. So yeah, I love that.
Well, and like Susan Scott's always said from Fierce Conversations, she said, because she did a lot of fierce consulting. She said, I'd walk around a company and the leader would go, oh yeah, all my people know the vision. And she'd walk around the company and they go, oh Lord, no, we don't know what it is this week. It changes every other day. Lord knows what our vision we're chasing this week. And I thought, that's so true. Because as entrepreneurs, we're like squirrels, over here, over there, over here.
Yep.
And so I think vision is harder. I can't wait to dive into that book. Maybe we'll do a segment on that book.
We should, because it is, yeah, it is really, really good. I want to go back to the sentence though, really fast, Linda, because I want to make sure that everybody hears really how big of a deal that is, because I'm sure you probably paid a lot of money to get that. And I know that you have it on a sign in your yours is on that sign in your office.
Yes.
I've seen it in there. And so I think what would you say if someone, so I help blank understand blank so that they can blank, basically, for lack of better words. So what would you say though around helping somebody really, if they're like, gosh, I don't even know where to start with that. I love the sentence, but what would be some, like, how did you come up with what your fill in the blanks were?
Actually, Megan helped, because so one thing you could do is you could probably, this is what I think would be a great exercise. If we ever do a in-session training, you and I, Dana, this should probably be a breakout that we do.
Yep.
Because I think we get so clouded in our own mind, we can't hear our own thoughts. But when you speak it loud to someone else, other people in the room can hear exactly what your passion is and what you do. And so that's what the hot seat did, is we got in the hot seat and we talked about, and what happens when you talk about what you do to other people, the passions come out. So
we may need to do like a live hot seat.
Oh, that'd be so fun. Yeah, class. I love it. But anyway, so I think other people listening will help you see it also. But then also just learning to pay attention to what are those moments that you wish you could capture, kind of like a firefly, and keep it with you forever, because you feel so good when you've done it. You feel so good. And then maybe even think about how could you take it bigger? If I'm going to be honest with you, if I was doing my real estate business over again, I wouldn't think just, what's the opposite of infinite game?
Oh, the
finite game, I guess.
Finite. Yeah. Okay. Right now.
I wouldn't think just finite, because I did that in my real estate business. I would think infinite game. Yeah. In other words, when I went in, let's say whoever I decided was going to be my tribe in real estate, I wouldn't just go in to sell them a house. I'd go in to be their authority on wealth building through houses, on anything that had to do with their houses. How do they save money on houses? I would build a bigger vision and infinite game of it. And honestly, Dana, I think it would have kept me excited about the business longer, because I was thinking so finite. Yep. I think finite, you run out of options. Infinite, you don't. Yeah. And just learning what I've learned now that this is my bigger game, where I love helping successful, but over especially real estate agents. It's kind of unlimited, the areas that I feel that I can help someone in, right? I don't have to just help them in one area. I can actually help them in lots of areas. Any place I feel like I've had success, I feel like I could help that person. So it broadens that base up a lot higher than if I just help them do one thing. So I think if I had to do over again with my real estate business, I would think bigger like that. And I was kind of headed that way. Here's a perfect example. One Saturday, I decided I love teaching. Teaching's just my tool. Yep. And plus, I think you grow so much when you try to teach. And so I decided I was going to teach all of my past clients Quantum Leap, our life achievement course that we have at the company. And so I sent out, I think it was 150 invitations. We sent it out when we sent our little Melco calendars out. In there was a nice letter and 2 tickets. And my lender went in with me, and they paid for the room and the food that day. And I literally did nothing but teach Gary Keller's Quantum Leap, because I love the course so much. And every time you teach it, it goes deeper into your soul, right? You get convicted every time you teach it of, oh, I'm still not doing that very well. And I want to tell you, that was probably one of the best things I could have ever done. I probably got 5 transactions from that one thing. And when you really measure the day, it had nothing to do with selling them a house. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you love this tribe and you love these people that you want to be a hero to, the way you're going to be more fulfilled is to do more with them, right? And so not have a limit on what you can actually help them with. I hope that kind of makes sense.
It makes total sense. And actually, that's the whole reason that I started. I'm doing this little like Wednesday morning mindset thing on Zoom on Facebook, and just for 30 minutes every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, we just get on, and I honestly just share lessons of stuff that I've been blessed to learn. Because one day I felt really convicted when I was actually having a team meeting with my real estate team, and I think maybe Josh said, Dana, think about all the stuff that you've been exposed to that you get to learn, that what if our clients could learn all of that stuff too? And I was like, oh my gosh, I felt horrible the rest of the day, because I was like, man, I've gotten to be exposed to, I don't know, anyway. So I just was like, I gotta do something to be able to share this with other people. So I ended up starting that, and now there's like over 700 members of the group on Facebook, and some clients are on there, some agents, some realtors are on there, some business owners are on, like there's the most random people. And honestly, a guy that I dated in high school, his mom, who was like my favorite. Did you ever have somebody that you dated and their mom was your favorite? Yeah.
If you just kept the mom and got rid of them, it would have been good.
He was a great guy too. But his mom was like, oh, I just loved her always, always. And she's been on every Wednesday morning. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it made me so happy. But honestly, it's like giving, so what you just said reminded me of that, because I just felt like I wanted to be able to grow and build that tribe of people. And I don't know, that to me goes a lot with what we were talking about, the relationships, because I was actually going to text this to you, Linda, and then I figured I'd save it for on here. But Nikki Klein, who we had on as a guest before, she posted something talking about relationships. And she said, pay attention to who you're with when you feel your best. Like,
that's awesome.
I love that. And it's so simple, but we don't think about it. When you feel your very best, who are you with? And she asked a question. She said, have you ever felt depleted after leaving a conversation or a social situation? Yes. I mean, clearly we probably all have. And she said it's because we can absorb other people's energy and take it on as our own, yet it doesn't actually really even belong to us. And she said, she was going into saying, the feeling of mental exhaustion after being around someone or a group of people. And that is what it means to not be in alignment with those people. And so she was saying, figuring out a way that you can say, who do you feel good when you're around? Who are those relationships? Because those are when you're in alignment. Because she said, notice your energy when you're around different people and how it affects how you feel. Notice your thoughts and feelings after the conversation. Is your vibration elevated? Do you feel like you could accomplish anything? Or are you feeling heavy with the weight of the world when you finish conversations or being around those people? And she said, if something just doesn't sit right, dig into that, because we know when we're surrounded by the right people, most of us don't pay attention to that. But we really need to take time to figure out, because if we can feel that feeling and think about it long enough, then that's going to tell us what relationships do we want to be in.
Oh, so true. God, I love that. That's fabulous.
I loved that too. Because I thought I was just, I don't know, it came at the right day, because I had a day last week where I was just feeling depleted. I had numerous conversations with people that didn't give me energy and instead totally depleted me. So by the end of the day, I was like, oh, how do I avoid that? And it's never 100% avoidable. But I just thought, man, that's so good. Yep. And so when we're thinking about building relationships with people, I love what you always say, who do you want to be a hero to? And then I would also say to that, how does it make you feel when you're around those type of people? Because I just think that's so important.
Well, I think also, besides the people we lift up, we got to be around people that lift us up. And, along the way, I think about my journey. I think another thing that will happen as you begin to build a big life is there's going to be opportunities sometimes to partner with people.
Yep.
And I want to tell you, I've probably learned more from picking bad partners than I've learned anything else in life. And it is the most painful lesson. And, I used to think that, if someone was successful in one part of their life, then I could just ignore any other place that might give me signals or signs. And it would all be okay. And the truth is that's not necessarily true. No. I can think of not a lot of times, but a couple of times where the person was super talented, but the truth is they had something about them that was a constant destroyer of any opportunities or whatever. And it's like, over time, it's like, yes, they may be charismatic and they may be, ability to do certain things, but over time, I can't do this, And so it took and the thing is about partnerships, the reason you want to be super careful also is because they're super expensive and hard to get out of.
Yeah.
Some we've had some in our life that cost us a lot of money to get out of. Now it was worth every penny looking back now, but to be honest with you, sometimes they're hard to get out of. The other person doesn't want to get out and you're stuck for a long time. And I know I've talked to realtors before who just without any consideration just joined partnership with somebody, and then they had a big fat mess to try to clean up after they were ready to do it. So also thinking through that before you choose a partner, and just trying to make sure you don't have any blinders on and you're not missing anything. And, I think partnerships also fail when their expectation isn't clear. Like,
Yeah.
let's say, for example, if I felt like, Dana, you were going to come to our podcast and you were going to be the person that brought all the scientific data or whatever,
We know that would never happen.
then I would be sadly disappointed when I say, Dana, what are those stats and those facts and all that stuff? And by the way, if you did it to me, we'd be the same thing. You'd
I
be
know.
like, where are those stats and all that research? I mean, you wouldn't have that. We're just not going to bring that to the table, right? And I think sometimes when you pick a partner, you think that they're going to do X for the business.
Yep.
And when they don't, then that's when you start to get disappointed. And they think you're going to do X and you're not going to do X either. So I think just those are other places. And then I also think the more you work this formula, the more you create your own validity. One of the coolest things that has been a kind of a surprise victory is the relationships that you now get to gravitate up to be around and have around you.
Yeah.
People say, well, you get to be around certain people. So cool. I said, yeah, but I worked my way up to that. I became a person that was valid enough to them, that had enough to offer them, because, you got to figure out what you can give before you worry about what you're going to get from people.
Always.
What can I give to this relationship, not what can I get from this relationship? And that, by the way, that works for your marriage too.
Yeah, but people get that backwards all the time. I mean, honestly, all the time. I feel like I constantly talk to people and they get that backwards. They come from a what can I get instead of a what can I give. And one other thing you just reminded me of that I wanted to say, I've had multiple relationships with a friend of mine, someone close to me who's also in the business too. And they've had somewhat of a difficult time kind of over the last couple of years outgrowing the people around them because they've been exposed to a leadership role, and then they're exposed to more people and then they're exposed to Gary Keller on a monthly, you know what I mean? It's like they get their exposure gets higher with who they're learning from, not
Yes.
them giving. And then they've kind of outgrown some of those people, and it's been a really difficult time for them. And there's really no great answer in response to that other than sometimes what I said to him was that person may not be willing to grow too. So you not only have you outgrown them, but that because the relationship is kind of at a rift right now. And I said, maybe you've outgrown them, but also they at some point had to be willing to grow too. And if they're not, then you can't take that whole burden on yourself. But I feel like we all get like that at some point. I can think of so many people that unfortunately I feel like maybe I've kind of outgrown them a little bit.
Well, and our disappointment and the issue comes when we start to expect them to be something they're not willing to be. In other words, I have certain friends that I know the conversations I'm going to have around them are not going to be the same conversations I have around someone who's learning based and growing.
Right.
And I have to say, okay, this is that relationship. And
different kind of
if it's important enough, I stay in the relationship, and I just know that we're never going to have a super high-minded conversation about certain things because number one, they're either not interested or they're not willing to grow in those areas.
Yeah.
And I think the only issue you have is two things. One, when they're like family and you're like stuck with them, and if they try to hold you back.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly okay if someone chooses not to grow. It saddens me sometimes because I want them to be along on the journey with me. Yeah. But I also am perfectly okay if that's what they choose not to do, as long as they don't constantly try to make sure I'm not succeeding or winning or growing. I think we're all going to experience that. The more you grow, the more you're going to experience that.
Yeah.
But I think, really paying attention to relationships and, who can you take your strengths to and put with someone else's.
Yeah.
And man, it be like 1 + 1 is 11.
Exactly. Instead of 2.
Instead of 2. Yeah. So that's kind of my thoughts on, I know we're running a little bit out of time on talking about this topic. Is there any last thing that you would want to add, Dana, that as you've learned along the way as relationships to build a bigger and brighter future for yourself, that it is important for people to understand and know about relationships?
I mean, I think, Linda, this has all been so good. I've written down so many things, and it's made me want to go. So I guess over Memorial Day weekend, now I'm going to be figuring out my sentence, filling in my blanks. So I'll probably be texting you like, what do you think about this one? But honestly, the biggest thing I would say about relationships is just you always have to stay authentic and genuine, because to me, those are the best relationships that I have or that I've been able to find, especially when it comes to recruiting or influencing or growing your database or having clients that you're as a realtor, your clients, people would rather work with somebody who's real and who's authentic and genuine than somebody who's right all the time. And that's something I've learned from Craig Rochelle. And I just think when you think about relationships, we just have to be our true, genuine, authentic selves. And I know so many people have resonated with you because you've always been authentic. You genuinely care for them. And when we don't do that, I think is when people struggle with having real relationships. And that always kind of makes me sad to see people like that. But I think just remembering being really authentic and genuine is probably the best key to building good, lasting relationships, whether that's in your business or in your personal life.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, this has been great. I love it.
Yeah,
so,
I can't wait to keep going on this one.
Yeah, so next week we'll do validity. Of course, you and I'll think of 10 things we should have added to this one by the time we get off here. But next week we'll be talking about the validity piece of this incredible formula that I truly believe is almost a little bit magical. It's easy, but not, it's hard to do it completely, but it's easy when you really think about how simple you need to think about it. The formula really is. So remember, if you have a question or if you'd like to be in mine and Dana's new hot seat, I think we do something, a hot seat, reach out to us at info@everything life and real estate and let us know. And remember, the more you let us know about you and your business, the more we're going to be able to help you. And the best thing you can do for Dana and I is to go, if you haven't subscribed, go down and subscribe to the podcast. Also give us a review. We'd love to hear, have a great review from you if you enjoyed the podcast. And the best thing you can do is pass it on to somebody else that you feel like would benefit from our conversations. So Dana, I guess I'll see you next week.
Sounds good. I'll see you then.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.